Hello, welcome to the Outcast Creative Channel, the Nielsen ratings on this Tuesday evening at 10 o'clock, where I'm going to do my best not to cough too much. In addition to the reviews of new TV shows and films and some old ones, we're going to be talking about another important semi-related subject today. One of our cinemas in London is under threat of closure. But before we get into that, let me bring in my panelists. From the world of film making himself, the Inside Man is here.
Good evening. How are you?
Still recovering. But
yeah, still a little croaky.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't hit the mute button there fast enough, as Stupenzolicious I recommended. But he's here. He can cover for me when I'm coughing.
The mute button. Press it. No, I'm just kidding. We let you cough to the mic the last 2 weeks. Like, do it again. It's fine.
Yeah. Well, it's not as bad as it was, but it is still.
What's funny when the cough isn't as bad, like when it's getting better, it starts sounding like the worst, you know? Like, it sounds all phlegmy and dischargey. It's awesome.
Well, there's a fair bit of phlegm action going on.
Yeah, it's because you're getting it all out. It's good.
Yeah, well, thanks. From way above, north of the wall, it's the Northern Bastard.
Hello, you beautiful bastards, and how are you all doing?
Yeah, tickety boo, mate.
Not too bad. Say hello to people that are already in the chat. Good to see a few of our regulars are here. I'm just dropping in a link so you'll be able to see what we're talking about. We've got Aaron Charman, Keithy, of course. Some guy called Stupenzolicious. I'm sure we banned him. I don't know why he's there. Rachel Percy art again. Do check her art out. Google it. You'll find the website. Wormy Spoons. We have Admiral Teague, whose channel I popped onto briefly the other day, and then I was coughing on his channel endlessly. So that was great. And there's other people watching. Don't be afraid to say hello. We'll try and get to you if we can. So before we dive into reviews and recommendations, I'm going to be doing that a lot. I'm going to go. I'll try not to. Here we are. So the Prince Charles Cinema, just to give people a bit of history, used to be, when I first went to it, it was a single screen with about 400 seats with a balcony and a stalls. And it was quite a unique cinema because the floor has this almost it's high at one end and then it bends in the middle and sort of goes high at the back again. It's quite unusual. If you've been in there, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's quite a cool cinema. It's quite unique. It's just off Leicester Square. It's up one of the side streets, so it's technically very much part of the Leicester Square culture and aesthetic. It's been there since the 60s. It is right next door to Leicester Square Theatre, the little comedy theatre, that's correct. And it was bought out by the Cannon Group. And when Cannon went bust, after some time, and I think a little change of ownership here and there, it ultimately became the institution that it is now, where it predominantly shows older films and it does special seasons. So every year there's a Bond season, so they show all the Bond films every year. Every year you'll get several screenings of all three Lord of the Rings films, usually the extended editions. There's always a season of Christmas films. So at Christmas, you'll get Die Hard, The Muppet Christmas Carol, you'll get A Wonderful Life, you'll get Elf, these kinds of things. And then they'll do seasons of different directors. So I got to see Capricorn 1 on the big screen because they did a season of Peter Hyams films, which was great. And I would have gone and seen more of his if I had the time. But so it's a very unique cinema. It's always really well programmed, and it's always really well attended. Even an afternoon screening of a Bond movie will have, 50, 60 people in it in the downstairs screen, which I think has a capacity of just shy of 200, because it's 2 screens now. And the upstairs has got about 70 or 80 seats, I think. And, most of the evening screenings are usually pretty close to selling out. They do a lot of foreign films. They do a lot of animation. I mean, it's just a very, very unique institution. There isn't another cinema like it in London. There are a couple of other little independent screens as well, but not one with the history and the location that this has. And Leicester Square has always been the heart of cinema in London, and dare I say it, the UK. It's where all the main premieres are held of all the big films. There used to be 6 or 7 cinemas in and around or adjacent to the square itself. 2 of them have now gone. One of them was rebuilt, turned into a hotel, Quelle Surprise, and they stuck a cinema in the basement, which no one ever goes to. So that one might as well not even be there. And that replaced the Odeon West End, which was an amazing screen. Now this one is under threat as well. And it's always the same thing. It's a corporation company known as Criterion Capital, who, guess what, is owned by a group who is the chairman of who is a foreign billionaire. And they have bought out several buildings in London already, including the Trocadero Centre, the Criterion Theatre, and they have recently closed the YMCA, London's oldest centrally located gym, which is at Tottenham Court Road, of which I was a member for several years. That's now going to be redeveloped into a hotel because, London doesn't have enough high-priced hotels. What we need is another one. Honestly, this is such bullshit. This cinema absolutely cannot close. What they're going to do is they're going to do a charm offensive media campaign saying, oh, yeah, we're going to work with the people running the cinema or the owners, blah, 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 the people that have the lease. But it's all trust me, that'll all be bullshit. What they'll do is they'll price them out so they can't afford to run it as a business anymore. So they'll capitulate on their lease, they'll close the cinema, and they'll redevelop it into a hotel. That's exactly what's going to happen. These places need to be protected. I can't tell you how important this is, even to me, just to me personally. These places have to be protected. We can't have these conglomerates, these business, these basically for profit. That's all they care about. Coming in and closing down these beacons, these historical beacons of our culture, which will change the landscape of London forever. It's all well and good putting up the gherkin and buildings like that and redeveloping stuff like that. That's one thing. But you can't go around closing down these iconic independent businesses, which are part of our cultural landscape, our media fabric of London. This will be an absolute travesty if this cinema goes. I can't emphasize this enough. I'm going to listen to the thoughts of Inside Man now, who's the next Englishman on the panel.
Well, I think you made a very good point in saying that, of course, the one thing that we really do need is another high-price hotel.
Yeah.
As if there aren't enough of these high-price hotels around London. I mean, this is how these people clean up. It was interesting to me, the preamble that we had prior to the beginning of the stream. You happen to mention that this person in question is a philanthropist, and of course, as we know, all billionaire philanthropists are only philanthropists for tax reasons. So this is where their charm offensive will always begin. Yeah, but I give so much money to charity, and so much money goes into London, and um, the problem that I have with it is that, as we know, the closure of cinemas, not just in London but up and down the country, and indeed the rest of the world. Um, these are places where we have had an immense amount of enjoyment, and these are the places for which movies are made. They're not made for streaming services, because streaming services don't make movies, they make content, and that's a big difference. They make content, movies are made for cinemas, end of story. But we're going to have a generation of young people that are going to grow up having never watched a movie in a cinema. Now, the Prince Charles is a theatre that excuse me. The Prince Charles is a theatre in which, as we know, classic movies are screened. Not necessarily just classic movies, but older movies are screened, to give people an opportunity to see these movies that they would never have seen as a kid on the big screen, which is fantastic. Now, these are theatres that are really the theatres that are saving cinema, full stop. And if we're going to get rid of one of these, which is a cornerstone of that market, um, I think it's a tragedy. I think it's an absolute tragedy. Um, these legacy movies that we can see at these theatres are, they're fantastic experiences, and it does introduce a whole new audience to these movies as well. But we can't see it go. I don't know whether there is already a campaign that's been set up to oppose this. If there is, sign me up now.
There's a petition that people can sign, which I've just
Right.
put up.
Okay.
It was at 60,000 signatures earlier today. And then, of course, once I started plugging it, it went to 82,000. I'm sure that's not just me. But
start buying it though. He's well known for doing it. He's been doing this with bars, everything, just buying everything and then just using it as an excuse to close them down and turn them into apartments.
Yeah,
but we have to, we have to put a certain amount of blame on the landlords, the owners of the property themselves.
He kind of part owns like Criterion Cinema kind of thing as well.
I think these guys are the landlords. I think they are.
They're the landlords. They're the landlords as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. This corporation own the lease,
right?
Or they've bought the lease off whoever had it originally.
Mm.
So they're already saying, "Oh, the Prince Charles is misrepresenting our intentions." Come on, man. Don't try and bullshit us.
Look. If their intentions are to retain this property as a fully fledged cinema, or a revamped cinema, but still doing exactly the same thing, then and people are thinking otherwise, then yes, that is a misrepresentation. But if I'm completely honest with you, and I think if all of us know, we all have some kind of idea of exactly what their intention is. It's nothing to do with recreating the cinema experience or revamping the cinema experience. This is because as we know, property in this area of London is one of the highest priced in the world.
Yep.
It's the most expensive property in the world, and you can only be a multi-billionaire to be able to afford to use this as your little plaything. But they're missing the point. They're really missing the point. all cities, all towns, all people deserve a cinema to go to, should they choose to. I do agree with what Stupenzolicious had said prior to the stream, that this is what you get when you have streaming services like Netflix. I mean, these are the people that are driving people out of cinemas. And as I said, the problem is that
this is one cinema that's doing really well. This is one cinema that gets bums on seats simply because of what it is, you know, and the programming, and the people work really hard.
But I think what this does is, with the whole Netflix and the whole streaming service situation, it bolsters their argument against or in favor of getting rid of this as a cinema. It bolsters their argument. It may not necessarily be directly affecting them or affecting them at all, but it certainly does bolster their argument. Oh, there's no real place for cinemas anymore. It's a thing of the past. It's old entertainment. It's, you know, it's passe. It's, you know, we've got more, you know, we got better things like Netflix and Disney Plus, you know, so we can do that in the comforts of our own home. No, I guarantee you there's not a single movie director, and I'm talking about proper movie directors, that would look at the loss of a cinema with anything other than utter disgust and disdain. Because film directors want their movies to be seen on a big screen, bar none. There's not one. It's only the fashionable, or the kind of faddy situation that we're in at the moment, where filmmakers are forced into deals on, you know, with Netflix and Paramount Plus and so on and so forth. You know, there's a kind of a pressure there, and it's almost like, you know, well, you know, we're going to be the only player in town, so we're the only deal in town, so therefore, you know, you can do exactly what we say. As I say, streaming services, all they do is create content. They don't create movies. They don't. Despite what everybody in Hollywood at the moment thinks, with all of the nominations for Netflix movies, and with all the nominations for Netflix shows that you have at the Golden Globes and the Emmys and everything, you know, they're not shows, they're not films, they're content, and that's all they see them as. You look at everything that's on Netflix. Look at everything. 99.999% of that's on Netflix is shit. It's shit. And they pad it out with a few bits and pieces that they may have bought from elsewhere. Almost everything on Netflix is garbage.
How do you really feel about it, Inside Man?
Hot topic to discuss in a minute. Okay, let me just take us back to the Prince Charles for a second. One thing that I want to point out is, in the last few years, I've gone with my goddaughter to see several films here, and also my friend Toby with his kids, and because this cinema exists and because of the programming it has, you know, they've got to see things like various James Bond movies, The Spy Who Loved Me in particular, on the big screen for the first time. And you can only see, as I say in my latest book, you can only see a film on the big screen for the first time one time. You can only see a film for the first time once, right? So how and where you see it is really important. And this cinema, because of its programming, allows people to take their kids to see films that they saw when they were kids on the big screen for the first time. We're talking about amazing classic films like Big Trouble in Little China, like Die Hard, like The Fog, like The Thing. Okay, you might not be taking your kids to see The Thing, but I
would.
I took my ex-wife's niece funnily enough, it was the week of her 18th birthday, to see the double bill of Alien and Aliens. And she'd never seen either of these films. And what this cinema allows that generation to do, and the generations under them, is to discover these films for the first time on a big screen and watch them the way they were intended to be seen.
Yep.
What this cinema does is truly unique in that context. And I would urge anyone who hasn't signed it to sign this petition. It's gone up 300 since we've been on air. And I'm going to do a special stream about this in probably within the next 2 weeks. And I'm going to try and get the manager or the programmer of the Prince Charles to come on. I've invited other people to pop on tonight if they want to offer a view on it. If anybody does pop on, we'll switch topics and come back to it. But yeah, it'll be criminal if this and not that Mr. Aziz is going to watch this channel, but what I would say to him if I got to meet him in person, billionaire that he is,
cough in his face.
How much money is enough? How much money do you really need? And,
how many speedboats does he bloody need?
And how much money does somebody need to raise to buy this lease from you, or from your company? And then I would urge the world's film directors, people like Tarantino, Michael Mann, they've all had films shown here, John Carpenter, to basically club together and form some kind of board and buy it, because we need places like this. Otherwise, these films, people will never get to experience these films this way. It's so important. I can't tell you how.
I mean, it's exactly as you say. I mean, look at what our good buddy Blue Collar does with his son. Takes him to see these older movies that he remembers as a child. He takes his son to see these movies, and this is what generations of people need to do. To reintroduce their children to the cinema experience. Especially to movies that they have known and loved growing up themselves, and also movies that we may not have necessarily have seen ourselves.
Yeah, I was going to ask, do they play oldie like 80s movies that you guys like, or do they play old black and white movies? Do they play any new movies?
Yeah, they
play any new movies.
They've done everything right across the board, and they also show films that were on 6 weeks ago that you might have missed. So
right. Okay, because that's the thing. It's like most of these theaters, like I don't know how you're allowed to operate just playing only, whatever you want kind of thing. First of all, I'm sure you got to pay, licensing fees for these movies, and I'm sure that's getting higher and higher thanks to streaming services. But also, that's the way it does it. They do it out here. Like, you got Alamo Drafthouse. They'll play the Weird Wednesdays and Terror Tuesdays or whatever, but it's only like a couple screenings on those weekdays. Like the Fathom events, whenever you want to go see Riff Tracks live at a theater, it's only on like Tuesdays or Wednesdays. Whereas like they're like contractually obligated to play new current films, weekends. I assume maybe because the theaters are owned by these companies. I don't know how it works, but that's just crazy if they don't play any new movies. Like I don't know how they get away with that. Just technically. But I think you guys are being selfish, honestly, because you know what? These migrants, man, they need free government paid housing. Okay. And they're set to a higher standard of living. And that's why all the luxury hotels are booked up right now. You need to build more luxury hotels for migrants. Okay. All right.
Those people listening, Stupenzo is not serious.
I'm totally serious. No, I'm just kidding. No, but also, I mean, yeah.
Oh, well, we've lost connection with Spencer. I don't know what's happened. Right. Sorry, you lost your connection there.
No, it's the theater's fault, because if they were playing modern, awesome movies like Amelia Perez, which was nominated for 13 Oscars and is a Netflix film, that's the thing. It's validating Netflix, putting another nail in the coffin for movie theaters, because, like these migrants don't care about movie theaters and old movies. They don't care about Die Hard. They don't want to see that stuff.
Can we not bring migrants into this?
Kidding. I'm kidding. No, but
I know you're kidding, but somebody who dips in and out of the stream isn't going to know that.
I'm not joking about Netflix though. I think like giving, first of all, Emilia Perez was terrible. I don't know if we're going to talk about that tonight, but
I haven't seen it yet. But
it does not deserve, giving it 13 Oscar nominations, which beats Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon for most foreign language Oscar nods. Not only is it a terrible movie, and it doesn't deserve it due to, the weird forced politics and stuff in the movie that make it automatically garner nominations, but also like Inside Man said, it inadvertently validates these streaming platforms. I was saying a few years ago, like, we're never going to get a Netflix movie that wins Best Picture for at least several years, and if it happens like now, that'd be crazy. And I don't think it will happen this year, but the sooner it happens, like, it's just a big problem, or Hulu or Apple or whatever. Any of these streaming platforms ever gets a Best Picture win, the fact that they're getting Best Picture nominations is like, it's bad enough. Because like Inside Man, it's not like I've yet to see. I think I've seen one or two things on Netflix that was actually great. Everything is like good, okay, passable, meh. That's everything on Netflix. Nothing is like outstanding, and especially when you rewatch them, you realize like, oh yeah, this is just like Inside Man said, it's just content. It's not even a movie. And how many weeks have I been on this show complaining that this should have been a movie instead of a 10-hour content padding miniseries? Yeah. But also with these movie theaters, I mean, if you really want your theater to be successful, what you should do is do what American theaters do, which is turn it into a restaurant. Where you serve beer and booze and food, and people stuff their fat faces all day during the movie, distracted by the chicken wings they're eating. And then you gotta convert. You got hundreds of seats. Maybe lots of seats. You got to convert that to 50 like lazy boy chairs that can recline. So that way, when you're done eating your food, you can go take a little itis nap in the middle of the movie and snore loudly and forget what the hell happened at the end of the film because you were in a drunken, sleepy haze. This is how theaters operate nowadays, guys. The idea of like not knowing where your seat's going to be, if you get there early, you'll get good seats. No, you could show up 10 minutes late because your front row center seats are waiting for you because you reserved them and paid no extra charge for them. You just bought your tickets a week early, or you have some kind of pass or something like Blue Collar does where you pay for subscriptions. Yes. Guys, I don't understand how it's like at one point I wish, theaters were doing better, but like you said, it's like, I think it's just us being 40-year-old, crybabies talking about how, like, these movies that we love are being played at this theater. But you think, like you said, the TikTok generation, they're not going to see these movies unless their parents like make them watch it.
Well, look, what I want to emphasize again is this cinema does do well. It has bums on seats. It was packed out.
That's why the landlord feels justified to raise the rent because they're doing well.
Listen, dude.
I'm not arguing for that. I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm just saying that's
because they have high attendance. I don't mean they're making money hand over fist. It's not a huge cinema.
Yeah, like I said, movie theaters make all their money from concessions, okay? Because when they do play movie theater tickets, they have to give a huge chunk of that to the copyright owners, the licensing fees. And like I said, playing, the idea of opening a movie theater where I just show, if I just show, like you got 3 or 4 screens and you're just going to show cool movies that you like, that would cost you money. Like if you don't pay those, if you don't make your money, you don't start breaking even, like you're going to go in the deficit just from the licensing fees to play these movies.
Anyway, but in any case, their concession stand is tiny. The cinema has a good level of attendance because of what it does, because of what it shows. It's got great films across the board. It's got a wide generation appeal. You've got films that are there for the older generation, even older than us. You've got stuff for the younger generation and everything in between. It's the only cinema that does this in London. The other thing as well is that a lot of independent film directors have their film premieres here because it's one of the few cinemas on Leicester Square that they can actually afford to have a film premiere at. Now, interestingly enough, on Christmas Eve, I went into town to see the Christmas lights, and 2 streets away from this cinema is a street called the Haymarket in London, where you've got the famous Theatre Royal Haymarket, and you've also got you used to have 2 cinemas on that street. There was the Odeon Haymarket, and then there was a 3-screen cinema, which back in the day when I first went there, of course, was a Canon, because it had just been bought out. And then I think later it became an ABC or MGM. It became an MGM eventually. That was the cinema where I screened The Journey, where we had the premiere of my film. And I went past it because I always walk past it when I go into London, only to find that it had closed. And that cinema is now boarded up. This is a 3-screen. The main screen of this cinema was really, really beautiful. And it's another one that's gone. I don't know the exact circumstances, but apparently it shut quite a while ago. This is it all boarded up. This is where I had the premiere of The Journey. I can't tell you how sad that made me. Walking past, seeing that was another one gone. So much history in there. The main auditorium in that cinema is really beautiful. It probably does need a rethink in terms of, you know, what could happen there, but it should still be a place of entertainment. Absolutely. Who knows what that's going to be turned into, but that's another one gone. So yeah, I just it's a really sad time with this stuff. But anyway, the closure of the Prince Charles absolutely cannot happen. So sign the petition, but we're going to be doing more than that on this channel. We're going to galvanize a huge movement and take this petition to the Prime Minister and make it political so that he will do something about it. So there.
Good luck with that. The guy doesn't even listen to his own people, his own constituents. I doubt it.
Well, who owns the theater?
I told you it's that corporation. Criterion Capital.
Yeah.
It's owned by developers.
It's not owned by some kindly old couple who've been running the theater for generations, because that helps with causes like this.
No, the people that are running it are I don't know exactly what the name of them is, but it's a small group of people like that. Yeah, they're film lovers, you know.
Right. We have a tiny movie theater here in my town, but it plays modern crap for, you know, it's got 4 screens and it just plays like modern movies for about a week or 2 and then moves on to stuff rotates them quickly. Doesn't really do special screenings, but it is a mom and pop family owned theater and it's been here for like since the 50s or 60s. But what's crazy is like it was closed for COVID and you know, they were going to shut it down and sell it, but the city was like, no, even though it's a crappy theater, it's our only theater, and the people who own it, you know, they're just like just normal people, so they're not owned by Tinseltown or whatever. Criterion is quite a label to have, you know, like the Criterion, like Criterion Films owns this theater.
No, there's a Criterion building in London.
I gotcha. Okay.
And this company bought it out, so they've now called themselves Criterion Capital, probably to make them sound more homegrown and not like a group of greedy foreign businessmen.
But the theater is run by just normal film lovers, or is this actually
the people that have the lease? It's a company that run the theater, and
right.
It's not a big company. It's, you know,
that's what I'm asking about.
12 people.
Right. So has the lease actually expired, or is it that the lease is being bought out?
In September, I believe it's up for renegotiation, and basically there's no protection in terms of they can just skyrocket the rent and force them out, which is what they think is going to happen. And I'm sure they're right.
So these people went to the press to alert everybody.
Yeah,
because it seems like they're already doing the work. You know, you have a big like a mom and pop store that's very well loved, and you got a big sob story, and that tends to work at least. But the problem is, like, even if it works, it's not going to prevent it from happening again in a year or 2 or whenever the next contract is expired.
Well, I mean, we'll see what happens. Yeah, it's one of those things, you know.
Like when you say this theater's doing well, do you mean it's getting by, or there's like often like lines outside the theater, sold out showings?
No, there are sold out showings for sure. I would say they have a couple of sold out showings a week at least. And then, you know, it's got a healthy turnover, but you've got to remember this is in Leicester Square. So
how many seats are in this theater? Like a few hundred or less than 100?
300 downstairs and 104 upstairs.
And it's like one big theater, one big screen, basically.
No, two screens.
2 screens. Yeah. So again, like that right there, this is why movie theaters nowadays have 10, 12 screens. Cause like
exactly.
Yeah.
So and this doesn't have a public subsidy. It's a business that's probably only just breaking even, but run by people who love films and cinema. This is exactly why it needs to stay.
This theater specifically, like I was joking earlier, but really, if they really want to like turn more profit, make more money, and not have to worry about this stuff, I mean, I guess the first thing they have to focus on is upgrading the snacks. Really, like, you know, I don't know. That's just one of those things where
that's not the problem. Stupenzo, even if they had bums on every seat in every performance, that's not going to stop these people from doing what they're doing.
Raising the rent to such an astronomical way that it won't be, it's not feasible.
Correct. That's what they're intending to do. So, and we have to stop them because we're the outcasts.
See, I think the petition has to go to Sadiq Khan, the Mayor of London.
Yeah,
that's who it needs to go to. So I don't know whether, you know, somebody in the petition or who started the petition is perhaps slightly misguided in where it requires the attention, where it needs to go to. It is actually Sadiq Khan, the Prime Minister. You know, he deals with political situations.
Yeah, I mean, has Sadiq Khan ever been to this movie theater? He probably
he probably has.
They basically want a break clause in the new lease, which means they can be given 6 months' notice to be out on their arse. And this is a cinema that does its programming at least 6 months ahead on a rolling basis. So, you know, it's an absolute travesty. And as they say in this, we can't let that happen. Absolutely agree. So yeah, it says actually, here we go. It's going to be, the petition's going to be delivered to Zedwell SLQ Limited and the parent company, Criterion Capital. So you've got 2 companies involved here.
As well as the mayor.
Yeah, and the mayor. If you have other suggestions on who we should email, please let us know.
I mean, to be honest with you, I think any petition that's going to be going to the owners of that property is really going to be falling on deaf ears. They don't care whether there's, you know, 600,000 or 16 million that have signed that petition, because, you know, it's like, oh yeah, these people don't want it to disappear. So what?
Yeah, the only way this will work is if, like, literally, like you're saying, like the government intervenes, you know, somehow, because there's nothing stopping them from just being like, And like I said, like, let's say you can even, like I said, if you can even stave them off for a year, they'll just try it again, you know, later. So
one other thing that's worth mentioning about this cinema is that you can buy a membership for life for a relatively small sum, and that gets you into every film for you know, fixed prices, and you know, non-members it's slightly more, but this is, either way, the ticket prices are still the cheapest in London.
Oh yeah. The subscription-based thing, I don't understand how any movie theater makes money doing that, and that could be partly why the theater's packed a lot, because a lot of people have subscriptions. And
it's not a membership that gets you into free anytime. Theirs doesn't work like that.
Okay,
Get a life membership gives you a different rate. You still pay for the ticket.
Yeah, that's actually a better idea. Yeah, for sure. It's like a Sam's card or whatever. You know, you got to pay for the discount. Costco, whatever it's called. But hey, here's a question. Let's say the theater just moved somewhere in the vicinity. That wouldn't help either, right? Because it's the actual historical relevance of the building and all that.
It's a historic location. It's also, this is a stone's throw from Leicester Square tube station.
Say moved across
Leicester
the street.
Square is inherently linked to film premieres and cinema, and you know, it's
so this would be like if they were doing this to, like, you know, not on this level, but you know, that the Chinese theater that everyone goes to in LA for the red carpet. Yeah. Okay, that's not good.
No, yeah, there you go. Now you're getting it.
Well, I have been getting it. I've just been being a facetious dick this whole stream for some reason. So.
Yeah. So for anyone tuning in, please take note of that.
Yeah,
it's right next to Chinatown, funnily enough, which you can see is at the end of the street there. Look, so that's inside
London's Chinatown. What is London's Chinatown like?
But look, that's what's going on, guys. Sign the petition, please. It's online. The info for it has already been put in the chat, but I'll drop it in again. Do your own post about it. Spread the word. And doesn't matter if you're in the States. This is an issue that affects us all.
Does this theater sell beer? That would be a huge. Yeah, there you go.
There you go. Yeah.
So they're already doing that. Damn.
Yeah.
But then you got
the issue isn't if alcohol the issue isn't if the cinema is doing well. That's not the problem. The problem is greedy cunts are going to come in and get rid of it, and so that they can erect their hotel or they can erect whatever, some other nonsense thing.
Bulldoze the building. Yeah, they can't just build a skyscraper hotel on top of the theater. You know, like, I don't know what. It's just spitballing here.
No, probably not. Stupenzolicious. I would imagine it would crash through the cinema like an episode of Thunderbirds.
They can't revamp the whole building, but keep the theater somehow at the bottom. Bring the renovate the theater, maybe bring it back. I don't know.
No.
See, I don't
leave it alone and piss off.
I don't quite understand when they say that they're being misrepresented. How does that work? You know what? They're going to be shutting the cinema down, or they're looking to close the cinema, but they're being misrepresented. In what way are they being misrepresented?
Who's being misrepresented?
This is the article in the Guardian.
Yeah,
and they describe the developers as attempting to bully us out of the building, etc., etc., etc. And we are happy to buck the trend and are thriving and fiercely independent. That's what's great about this place. Absolutely agree.
Guys, I don't want to bum you out, dude, but there's been so many famous bars and restaurants in Austin that have gone through the same deal, and they went to the press, and everyone's outraged that Hut's Burgers is closing or Cheer Up Charlie's Bar, but you know what? They all ended up getting closed and turned into condos, so just fair warning.
Unfortunately, the petition won't accept a Texas zip code, but thanks for the $5. Dan.
Just make up a British one. Look up England. There you go.
There you go.
Just lie.
So the statement from the company, here it is. We value the Prince Charles Cinema, and we work closely with our tenants to help best utilize the properties within our portfolio. We operate within the provisions of the Landlord and Tenant Act 1954 and categorically deny any attempts to intimidate or disadvantage them. Fuck off. The company added, we are committed to curating a portfolio that balances community benefit with sustainable commercial arrangements, and mischaracterization our position through public campaigns hinders resolution. We will continue to act responsibly, legally, and in good faith. Yeah, heard that before.
Yeah. In other words, we have some very, very good lawyers.
Yeah.
So be prepared.
Yeah. As Tom says, he saw the Halloween, The Fog, Assault on Precinct 13, The Thing, Escape from New York, and Big Trouble in Little China. That's part of the John Carpenter season that was on a couple of years ago. Yeah, mate, I know. Good memories. The Fog on the big screen here was great. You were probably there at the same time as me. Yeah, it's a travesty, really. Okay, well, we're going to move on and talk about some films and TV shows that we've seen. some of which we're going to recommend. I've got a couple of new ones to talk about. Now, we were going to get into The Night Agent today, which is, funnily enough, a show that's dropped on Netflix. It's the second season. I saw the first season last year. I thought it was okay. I quite liked it. I like the lead actor. I think he's a charismatic young chap. Pretty decent actor actually. And I thought, well, let's do the second season. But unrealistically, I announced that on Sunday night, and then got a very worried message from Northern Bastard, who said that he won't have killed enough deer to feed the family by then. Can we have more time to watch it? So, yeah, I actually finished watching the last episode of season 2 about 2 hours ago. So I have seen it all. So I'll offer a little comment on it now, and then I am curious to know what my panelists think of the show. So I
thought it was rubbish.
Did you watch it?
No, I've never seen it. No.
Okay, so I won't spend too long on it, but briefly, if you haven't seen it, it is very much in the Jason Bourne mold. So that's what you're going to be watching. You're going to be watching a Jason Bourne-esque type of show, with lots of crossing and double crossing and this kind of thing. The second season is really about a chemical weapon plot in New York. Again, lots of crossing and double crossing. The plus points are it's really well produced. This is the trailer for the second season on screen now. It's got some good action scenes. I think the acting is very good. The supporting cast is very good. You'll all be pleased to hear that Jay Carnes from The Shield has got a good role in this. So it was nice to see him in a pretty decent supporting part. He's in like about 3-4 episodes. The other thing as well is that this is produced and mostly written by Sean Ryan, who did The Shield.
Oh, wow. Right.
So,
okay.
So there is a level of quality here that's, it definitely is a cut above.
Yeah.
It's not your standard kind of churned out sort of just above average Netflix show. My overall rating for season 2 is 8 out of 10. This is the trailer for season 1 you're watching now. You can watch the 2 seasons individually if you want, but the first season sets up the backstory for the main character and why he ends up where he ends up. And then the second story sort of continues on his job from that point forward. And the second season ends with setting up the third season. So, and the third season has already been greenlit. I do like the lead actor. I think he's pretty decent. The main thing that I have issue with, and I suspect this is partly down to Netflix, is it does feel a bit padded out at times. I do think it could have been 2 episodes shorter. Stupenzo will probably say it should have been a 2-hour movie.
That's the problem with Netflix, though. Every single show I watch always feels like it's been padded out way too much.
I mean, I wasn't bored. It didn't feel like, but there were a few kind of that, these plots are very similar. It's always we've got to get to the thing, to get to the thing, to get to the next thing. To get to the thing.
If you're going to be doing serialized television, you got to think of it like it is on TV weekly. Because like each episode needs to have a beginning, middle, and end. Each episode needs to have its own like plot, arc. But like what they do is they just take a 10-hour movie and split it into 10 sections. And that's why like episodes 2 and 3 are just like when you isolate them and just review them as individual episodes, they're like, it's meaningless. It's like nonsense. Like they don't, there's no individual lessons or morality tales or complex stories from each individual episode, like great television shows have, like The Wire and Breaking Bad. And, you got to write it like a television show if it's going to be serialized.
I would say that it definitely has the beats, there is a cliffhanger ending for every ep.
No, I heard this show is good.
Yeah,
I heard this show is good.
It's
not just from you.
It is, overall, I think it's a good show. The second season is even better than the first, I would say. So that's why I'm interested to hear what you guys think of it when you see it. And
well, I didn't watch it, but you told me about it. Like, hey, this is going to be this week's episode. And then like the next day, like I'm seeing it trending, on some, memes and sites and stuff. And I'm like, okay, people are talking about the second season. All right. So
how many episodes per season is this?
I think in the season I've just watched, there was 10.
Almost 10, always 10. I was going to say that's like the new standard, 10 episodes.
And they're like 45 minutes each, give or take. But I will say, you've got some great actors in here. This guy on the left, Lewis Hertham, is your sort of main baddie.
Dude, I thought that was Steven Weber from Sour Grapes.
Yeah, close, but no cigar.
Darn.
And I do like the supporting cast in this as well. They're all pretty good. So, and I think season 3, incidentally, by the way, season 3 is set up so a certain president gets into power, but they're a puppet for somebody else. So that's going to be the plot for the 3rd season. So,
which will come out in 3 years or something.
No, it'll be next year. I think it's already gone into production, and I think they're filming already.
Yeah. Well, they're like Yellow Jackets season 3 is coming out, and granted, there was the coof that happened, but like I think it's like a 2-3 year break. But that's the standard now. 10 episodes and 2-3 year break between seasons. When it's like they used to do 20-30 episodes every year for shows.
There he is. There's Jay Carnes.
Yay!
In the show. Yeah.
He got old.
Well, he got older. He got older. This is
he's old.
That's Millicent Shelton who directed a couple of the episodes. I have to say the direction in the show was pretty good. Pretty tight. It's for 10 parts, I had it on in the background and was kind of, while I was doing things on the computer, because that's the way I get to watch 10-part shows these days, because I don't have time to just sit down and watch them fully focused. But I could follow everything that was going on and still multitask and do the other things I had to do. So we're being asked if we have discussed Slow Horses. I think we did, didn't we?
Is that Gary Oldman?
Yeah.
I didn't watch it, but we probably had.
Sorry, had to mute a cough there. Well, I liked it.
Yeah, you did it. You're learning.
Yeah, thanks, man.
I keep meaning to watch Slow Horses, and I really need to, because I like Gary Oldman. He's always good. I don't think I've ever seen a bad performance from him.
It's good. Amanda Warren's really good in this.
She looks good. I couldn't notice.
Stupenzolicious, I didn't notice, but she's a very good actress. So yeah, and I like Gabriel Basso. I think he's a good leading man. He's like a young Matt Damon in a Born Identity show, so it kind of works. There we go. Anyway, 8 out of 10 from me.
That's such a funny expression on his face.
Yeah, that's not the first one I just saw earlier. He's got a weird face for smiling.
Well, it's also just like the out of context. Like if I didn't know this was a movie still, like the guy's all beat up and he's like got this doofus smile. It's like that's a funny picture out of context,
I would like to know.
Well in the fight scenes, I'll give him that. He's got a bit of a nice guy quality to him.
Have you seen any episodes of it?
For now. Watched a few. I've watched a few. I'm kind of warming up to it, but I had to watch the recap on the first series because.
Yeah.
Had you not seen season 1 then?
No, but that's the thing with Netflix. Half the time the show's getting
there's
so
a
bloody
recap
padded out.
there's a recap at the front of season 2. So
yeah.
So
I
you've
watched one
so-
on YouTube and one on the Netflix as well, and it looks like they still missed out a few things that season 2 needed to be elaborated on. So,
okay, so how many episodes of season 2 have you seen?
3 so far. I'm
Wow.
kind of warmed up to it. It's just another Netflix series so far.
Well,
it's pretty
I like
high
that you're.
production. It's pretty
Well,
high
yeah, I like
production.
that you're saying the hero is like, you know, a good guy, because I'm so tired of like, you know, the disgruntled like guy with his chip on his shoulder, anti-hero type, you know, grizzled, doesn't care about anything. You know, that's fine and dandy, but it's seeing like an actual just, you know, heroic, you know, Eagle Scout type protagonist is so rare these days.
Yeah.
Your Supermans, you know, your who else? Superman. It's bad. I can say.
What's the thing with these Netflix
Good boy,
shows?
good guys.
The other thing I like about this show is whenever we cut to, there's a big backstory about Iran in this. So whenever we cut to 2 Iranians, even if they're in New York, they speak in their own language with subtitles, which gives
I like that.
Yeah, I like that too. It makes it much more authentic.
Dude, Mel Gibson making you know, Passion of the Christ in the authentic language. That movie came out around the same time as Memoirs of a Geisha, which is like you know, Chinese people speaking in bad you know, English accent, which is like distracting. It's like that movie would have been so much better if it was just in the foreign language. And like Passion of the Christ and Apocalypto are amazing because they're in the you know, we're not dummies, you know, like we don't need movies in English, and it can still be an American film and not be in, you know, English, you know.
The trouble with the Iran, what was it, the Iranian scenes, I kind of lost track of what was happening because I was because when I watch this, I'm usually typing away my reviews and that, and I'm like, oh shit, I got to look at the screen now to know what they're saying, so I don't lose track of what's the bloody hell's happening. And so I kind of have lost a little bit of what was going on there, but I do get that she's probably infiltrating. It's all spy stuff, you know, gathering information. Okay, I like that. I like that kind of stuff.
Dude, man, have you stopped being tickled yet?
Yes.
Well, you know, hang on, he might laugh again because Jamma Lama's saying he loves Apocalypto. Dude, Apocalypto's so great because like the movie starts off,
we got to do a chew the fat on Apocalypto.
Dude, it starts off with like a bunch of like naked native people eating like raw pig testicles, and you're like, what is this? And then like an hour later, you're like, run, Jaguar Paw, go save your family. You know, it's just such a good movie.
It's a really good. That's a really good movie, and it was such a risk. I thought, you know, probably Mel Gibson's finest directorial hour. I would.
Yeah, and that's what I like about Mel Gibson. I mean, he in his directing, he does take quite a few risks. I think.
Did anybody watch Flight Risk? I know Blue Collar and Wes watched it, and they said it was okay. I'm hearing it's not bad for being shot in 22 days in a movie set.
Wow.
Has anybody else seen it?
No.
I want to watch it.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it next week.
All right.
Assuming people have, you know, actually watch it. Okay, so 8 out of 10 from me for season 2 of The Night Agent. Not The Night Caller or The Night Manager, both of which I think I've called it at different points.
Yeah, you're telling me The Night Caller was what.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
What about The Night Rider?
So
The Night Flyer.
Northern, what have you got for us this week? What have you been watching?
Oh, you're not gonna like it. The new Wolfman movie.
Oh my god, it was terrible.
It's boring. It's really boring.
Boring, yeah. You got a werewolf in the house, like, you know, confronting a woman and her child, and I was just like yawning.
Yeah, and there's this other werewolf, which is actually the antagonist, and Daddy Werewolf is fucking useless. He gets his ass kicked, and the wife saves him like a good few times. It's like, what the hell? You're a werewolf. Fight the evil werewolf.
My favorite. Yes. Okay, so you got a loved one who's turning into a werewolf slowly. At what point, like, surely there's a point where like he's got fangs, or he's chewing his own arm off, or his eyes are changing color. At what point do you think, okay, he's a werewolf, I should leave, I should, you know? But no, she's like the whole time, like, he's sick. He's got a virus.
Woman.
He's clearly turning into a werewolf. Like,
she's fucking dumb. This woman is dumb.
There is, that's one of my favorite parts is the movie when the werewolf turns into a werewolf, and the person who sees them, he's like frozen in horror, and they always watch him change completely into a werewolf because you're so shocked at what you're seeing. But surely at the point when the snout starts growing and the Bad Moon, I think, was the only movie where the lady's like, I'm not watching all this. I'm running. I'm running. I'm like, I'm not going to wait for you to turn into whatever it is you're turning into. I'm out of here.
And only one scene I really liked, and that was where the little girl's just going to her dad, and he's got the fangs and that, and she actually seems really heartbroken to see her dad like this. That was the only thing that actually got me a little bit.
I hate that crap. I want the werewolf to have, like, that's the whole point about the werewolf. The werewolf doesn't, you can't reason with a werewolf.
It doesn't do anything. It doesn't try to kill his own family as well. That would have added such a great element of tragedy to the whole thing.
So scary. You will kill anyone on sight. Anyone on sight. That includes your family, your best friends. Like, as soon as you turn, everyone needs to get away from you because you're dangerous. This idea that you can reason with the werewolf, it's like romanticizing him. But like I said, you don't even turn him into a werewolf. Like, who sees this virus and calls it like the face of the wolf? This is turning you into an Appalachian moonshiner. You become like a hillbilly. I don't know how it works. Like, you turn into a mountain man.
But God, it's awful. Just stick to American Werewolf in London. It's a movie.
Northern, I'm getting the sense that your opinion of it was not too high. What would you give this movie out of 10?
Well, I think even giving it a 1 is too generous.
Really? Yeah. Was Julia Garner's acting not worth praise?
She also does not feel like a mother, matriarchal character, mother or wife. She's just, I don't know.
She's just an actress on screen, and even she's phoning it in.
Is she miscast in the role a bit?
I think she's very miscast. Every actor looks like they're bored. They're just, the main guy maybe looks like he is trying his best, but he just does not have the kind of screen presence for it, to be honest. He should be in a Hallmark film, in my opinion.
And so tell me, are these practical effects? They're not.
Yeah, effects?
Some bits are practical. The practical effects.
What are the effects like?
The actors, but the werewolves are shit.
The effects are good, but the concept design is terrible. Like, I feel like if they had just made it look like an authentic werewolf, I think it would have been way better received movie. It's just such a jarring look for the Wolfman. He basically looks like a bald. Remember Freak Show from Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle? That crazy redneck dude with the boils? Like, that's basically what the Wolfman looks like with fangs. And it's weird.
Okay.
But I mean, there's some cool concepts in it. Like, I'd give it a 2 out of 10, which is still really low. But like, this idea of, like, you're slowly turning into a werewolf. I don't like how you're turning into a werewolf like the same moon. Like, it takes a month. But the idea he's turning into a werewolf, and it's a very slow process. It's not like overnight, and he's like permanently a werewolf too, which is lame. So he's not even a werewolf, it's a werewolf in name only. But there was cool stuff, like when you see his first person point of view, like what he's seeing and what he's hearing, like all that stuff was cool. But again, it's just not executed all the way well. It's just it was boring. Like I said, you shouldn't have a werewolf movie that's boring. Even if it's
scary as well, there's no stakes to it whatsoever.
Yeah, like I get it. Like, it'd be easy to make this scary. You got a werewolf outside a creepy house, and mother and child, and they're totally isolated. The other thing that makes no sense about this movie, we're being chased by a werewolf. We're at my dad's old abandoned house in Oregon in the woods. He's a hunter who was an abusive father. That's the thing about the movie. The theme is all about toxic fatherhood, masculinity, bad dads that traumatize me. That's the
he was trying to fucking make his son be aware of the dangers that he was in. He was making his son to grow up tough and know how to survive.
Well, what's hilarious is they walk into dad's house, which is still fully furnished because he just went missing, right? Spoilers, he turned into a wolf man and lives in the woods now. But why don't they immediately, like, where are the guns? Where are dad's guns? Go grab dad's guns. They're there unarmed for like the first several hours, and then they eventually grab like a kitchen knife. There's surely a safe full of guns somewhere in this house, and the son knows exactly where they are. Where does he keep his hunting rifles? Surely he's got a stack of handguns. If he is a mountain man who lives in the wilderness in Oregon, where are the guns? He even specifically says when they run into like a neighbor, everyone's got guns here. Don't be worried that this kindly stranger has a rifle. Everyone's got guns. Right, so why don't?
I think we're not recommending this film. Is where we're going.
That was terrible.
Let's not spend any more time on it.
And that's Blumhouse, folks.
Yeah.
Northern, did you have anything you've watched that you did like since last week?
Yes, the original Highlander movie.
Hey.
It's still brilliant. It's still brilliant.
Great,
Christopher Lambert. Is it pronounced Lambert or Lambert?
Lambert.
Yeah, because I kept calling him Lambert like he was a cigarette brand or something.
Yeah, Lambert and Butler.
Yeah. But yeah, even though he's struggling with his English a little bit and it does almost hinder his acting, there is still a great charm to this movie. And Sean Connery is brilliant, and Clancy Brown is just over the top, mean and nasty, and you can tell he's really having fun in the role. It's got a great lore, which very sadly gets contradicted in the sequels. There can only be one. He does become one, and he becomes mortal, and all of a sudden that's thrown out the window for the crappy sequels.
And you know where I saw this film? I saw this film in that cinema that I showed you that had closed down on the opening.
One.
Yeah, it was on in Screen 1 of the of the Cannon Haymarket, and we saw it the same day as Aliens because it opened the same weekend, but I'd already seen Aliens a week earlier on that special screening that I've talked about in my book.
I had a friend that worked on this that I'd known for years and had worked with a few times, and he told me some stories about this.
Tell.
So I'm going to start this with allegedly.
Allegedly, excellent.
Right, so if you watch the movie again, you'll notice that 90% of everything that comes out of Christophe Lambert's mouth is post-synced. So it's all done in the dub. And there was a reason for that. Allegedly, there was a reason for that.
Yeah, you can tell it's dubbed as well because it's like,
allegedly, he was a little bit. He liked a little bit of the old Colombian marching powder on set, allegedly, and apparently,
it was the 80s.
Yeah, apparently he was absolutely incomprehensible in his dialogue. It was just mumbles coming out of his mouth constantly. Nobody could understand a word that he was saying like this. So they had to kind of match his dialogue in ADR for pretty much 90% of the entire movie. And one of my friends actually had Sean Connery's head, the head when the Kurgan cuts his head off.
I was going to say not his actual head, but yeah, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, and which apparently was, once they finished shooting, everything was dumped. So they just dumped everything. So this head, believe it or not, it had all working parts. It was an animatronic head, even though it was sliced off. So there was a shot that's missing where the head comes off and Sean Connery's eyeballs roll back. It's all remote control. His mouth opens and there's a grimace on the face and the eyeballs roll back.
Awesome.
And that shot's missing. So apparently it was shot, but it was taken out.
It's too hardcore.
And yeah, and a friend of mine, somebody that I worked with previously, who was quite a big makeup effects guy, he managed to rescue Sean Connery's head from the skip and repurposed it for something else that he worked on.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
Apparently, Kurt Russell and Mickey Rourke were both up for the lead. Originally.
I'd see Mickey Rourke more as the Kurgan.
And
there can be only one.
The opening voiceover done by Connery has an echo effect because it was recorded in the bathroom of his Spanish villa.
Yeah,
where he'd been working on.
So he is Spanish.
Yeah, that's right. I do love his
working on his Spanish accent.
He's Egyptian.
Egyptian Spaniards. Yeah. I always do. Dude, I do. Who Wants to Live Forever at karaoke, man. This world has only one sweet moment set aside for us. All the nerds are like, yeah! It's like one guy, at the end of the bar. He's like fat guy wearing like a wolf t-shirt.
This film does have some depth as well, despite all the 80s cheesiness. I mean, especially when his woman comes up to him and she's now old and he's still the same age as he was when he first met her, and he has to watch her die, and it's like, that is fucking heartbreaking when he.
That
is. Her makeup isn't quite the best.
Oh,
her
the makeup's a bit terrible.
It's pretty awful. Yeah.
Well, that's the problem with the HD transfers and Blu-ray DVDs for these old classic '80s movies. You're like, oh, I remember that looking better.
Well, there was an interview with Clancy Brown in 2014 where he said,
"You're SpongeBob, me boy."
He said it was a strange set because we were all trying to make a good movie, and the producers were trying to make money any way they could. There's a surprise. So there was a lot of things we had to work around and do on the cheap because of those producers. So,
fun.
Yeah, haven't heard of that happening. Haven't heard of that happening in the industry before.
Because it was distributed by Canon, wasn't it? It wasn't produced by Canon.
It was EMI.
Yeah, I know it was distributed by Canon.
Well, let's have a look and see who those producers were, because I like to see these things. We shouldn't we shouldn't not give them their due.
Of course, EMI sold Elstree Studios to Canon, so they really love film.
The producers were Peter S. Davis, E.C. Munnell, Eva Monnerly, Harold Moskowitz, William N. Panzer. Having the surname Panzer.
That's a cool name. That's a great name.
Yeah. John H. Stark. Peter S. Davis has also produced Highlander 2 and basically all the Highlander various bits and pieces. The Quickening, The Gathering, blah, blah, blah. E.C. Munnell did Highlander, and before this, the Osterman Weekend and the Jupiter Menace. I like the Osterman Weekend.
Yeah, I like the Osterman Weekend.
I've got the vinyl soundtrack to that. Eva Monnerly, who is deceased, produced The Man Who Would Be King. I think this was their last producer credit by the looks of it. And then Harold Moskowitz just produced Highlander, but he got big.
Yeah, that's the one he's talking about, I should imagine.
Well, it was an associate producer, so they wouldn't have got.
Oh, right.
Mr. Panzer died in 2007. He also got on the bandwagon with all the others.
He should have had his own studio, lot. Panzer Studios. That would have been cool.
That would have been, So somebody should just actually have that. John Stark was a producer on Sicario. And that was
Prisoners as well. Prisoners.
Yeah, so Prisoners was a pretty decent movie. That's kind of.
I think Prisoners is cooler than Sicario, man. Prisoners is hardcore.
Yeah, it's a good film. I mean, plus he produced Alvin and the Chipmunks, The Road Trip, which obviously.
Oh, that classic.
Yeah, so.
And we can't forget the score by Michael Kamen as well. The Michael Kamen score is really underrated in my view.
I
thought you were going to talk about Michael Kamen did the score for Alvin and the Chipmunks. I'm like, he's been dead for 15 years. What? How is that possible?
No,
he did the score for.
He did though. Jesus Christ!
They just recycled the Iron Giant soundtrack and put it
out. He did the score for Die Hard. He did Die Hard.
Dude, he did X-Men. He did Mr. Holland's Opus. He did Metallica S&M, the big album with the big orchestra. He did. He's
Rita Sue and Bob too.
Yeah, Michael Kamen's one of my favorite composers, man.
I got to be honest, my favorite score of his has to be Robin Hood.
Highlander.
Yeah,
the main title for Prince of Thieves is really good main title.
I really think my favorite score of his is the Iron Giant score. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
But he just had a great ear. He's not like this the Hans Zimmer types. He could actually read music and compose, and he played piano. He was like the John Williams, like the classically trained, amazing composer.
Yeah.
I even like his
What would we give Highlander out of 10, people?
I give it a good 9 out of 10. It's got its flaws. Christopher Lambert said dubbing is a little bit distracting at times, but the fight scenes are always the best choreographed, but it's still got this charm. It's still got this great lore. It's got this very emotionally impactful storyline about the downfalls of immortality and the emotional toll it takes, and it's still fun. And the Queen soundtrack fucking rocks too.
Yeah, it does.
Cinematography is great, and there's some amazing dissolve. I mean, what's some fantastic dissolves in this? Some really good transitions.
Who shot it? Who was the DOP on it?
God, no idea.
Get rid of that banner.
Other ratings out of 10, please. So that was
8.5 out of 10.
I'll give it an 8. Inside Man.
I'd give it a 9. It is a bit of a go-to for me. I do like this movie a lot.
DOP was Jerry Fisher, who passed in 2014. Also did Escape to Victory.
Exorcist 3. Cops and Robertsons.
Cops and Robson. Yeah, I've never seen that. And
it's funny, dude.
That's a good director of photography then. For the Exorcist 3, I mean, bloody hell, the haunting visuals in that one, man.
Black Rainbow.
Black
Rainbow. Man on Fire, but that's not the Denzel Washington Man on Fire, is it?
No, it's the
he did Yellowbeard. Island of Dr. Moreau, but an older version of it, not the one with
the 70s
not
one.
The Brando one.
He was the DOP on Juggernaut, which I just watched the other day. That is a really poor film.
Yeah.
It's not a good movie.
But did it look good?
It could have been a good movie, but it's not. But he was the DOP on The Amazing Mr. Blunden. That's an incredible film.
That's terrific. Yeah, that really is. It used to be one of those sort of one of those real sort of staples of Christmas television over here, wasn't it?
Just a fantastic,
it's a lovely story.
Sort of children's ghost story film.
Yeah,
probably the first ghost story movie I ever watched.
I think Mark Gatiss actually remade that for Sky Atlantic, I think, a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I didn't see the remake.
No, I didn't see the remake.
I had no interest. Strange that they've got these pictures of people's lips like really close. So Rosalind Landor, who played this role, was the sister of Adam Landau, who I went to school with. And it's so weird because I remember when I was watching the film as a kid, I really wanted her character to survive, and I was really pleased when she did. And I looked her up to see what her name was, and I thought, I wonder where she lives, and in England. And she lived one road away from me, which I didn't find out until like 10 years later. She ended up doing an episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Hang on, Babe alert! Who's this?
That's Diana Dawes.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Lynn Frederick, who would be I think one of the wives of Peter Sellers, and she had a really tragic life, partly as a result, I think, of marrying Peter Sellers. So yeah, that's another picture of Lynn Frederick, much better one. But that must be from the Blu-ray.
But Stupenzo, if you wanted to see what Diana Dawes really used to look like, have a look at her young pictures. I mean, she was staggeringly good looking. I mean, really, a really, really beautiful woman. Really beautiful. In fact, she was our answer to Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah, she was.
And they tried to put her in movies in Hollywood. So she was invited to go to Hollywood.
Well, I'm glad to know she aged gracefully. I hate it when they get all botched up and weird looking. It's weird.
Yeah.
Just get old.
She passed away quite young, sadly, of cancer. So, which was real shame.
Oh, I don't think Diana Dawes?
Yeah.
No, she wasn't that young. She certainly wasn't that young.
Well, wasn't she in her 40s?
No, she was well into her 50s, maybe even 60s.
Oh, I guess it's because you're right. She passed away in 1984, and she was born in 1931. So you're right. She was in her 50s. Yeah. 53.
Still pretty young.
But there's, I've actually got a couple of stories about her, but I won't tell them here.
Okay, look forward to
they're interesting stories. Really
stay
interesting
in the
stories.
green room, guys,
Oh,
for
yeah.
after the show. Yeah, if you look up her original kind of, her Hollywood shooting portraits and stuff like that they took for her. I'll put up a quick picture actually.
She was beautiful.
Just to illustrate.
She did I can't remember the name of the film now. It was she did a film in her youth. I think her first film, and she was she played a prisoner. She was in prison, in a female prison. I can't remember the name of the film. I've got it somewhere.
She was a really beloved figure. I mean,
she was. Yeah,
in person, she was really nice to people. She was really down to earth.
Yeah, she was.
Had time for her fans.
Yeah,
and she married this actor who was younger, whose career was kind of eclipsed by her a little bit, called Alan Lake.
Yeah.
And not long after she died, sadly, he killed himself because he was so bereft.
Yeah.
With losing her, he couldn't handle it, could he?
No. It's a tragic story.
Yeah, but remembered in our hearts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Inside Man, what you got for us?
Well, I've got first up is a classic polizioteschi.
Let me just type in Italian films quickly.
Yeah.
What's the movie?
Do you want the original title or do you want the Americanized title? I'll give you the original. The original title is it's Milano odio la polizia non può sparare. Which basically means
police do shit in Milan or something like that.
No, it actually means police hate. No, sorry, it means Milan hate. Police cannot shoot.
Right.
Which doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But the American title was Almost Human, starring Thomas Millian.
Almost Human.
Yeah,
I like the way the American title bears almost no resemblance.
It means absolutely nothing. There's no connection to the movie.
It's already got the seal of quality because none other than Henry Silva's in it.
Henry Silva, yeah. He actually gets to play a good guy. He plays a cop in it. But Thomas Millian is one of the most disgustingly depraved human beings that you're ever likely to see on screen. He's
Shall we watch the trailer?
And it's got an amazing score by Ennio Morricone as well. Let's watch it.
Let's watch the trailer.
Need to watch this.
Listen, there's only one thing that counts. Either you got loads of cash and you're someone cool, or you don't have no place to pee.
Oh, dubbing.
Let's hope for your daughter, because the kidnappers, they're going to ask for ransom.
Does half of 1 billion lira have a meaning for your feeble mind? Kneel down, I said! You too, honey, kneel down! Oh!
All I did was kill 2 women, 3 men, and a kid.
Sense of humor you got.
He likes.
Sit on this and see how you like it.
He likes firing his Sten gun, doesn't he?
It's this one's an unusual one because it's actually quite a nasty one. It's a really violent one.
I got that impression from the trailer there.
It's directed by Umberto Lenzi, who some people might recognize the name from Cannibal Ferox. He was the director of Cannibal Ferox.
I've got a couple of his films actually.
He's actually one of my favorite polizioteschi directors, to be honest with you.
I've got the tough ones.
Oh my god! I just got that arrived today. That just arrived today. What a movie that is!
Did you get the box set with all like the cinema lobby stills in it and all of that?
No. I got the Radiance Films, the new Radiance Films version. That's not long been out. So
I've got it next. I've got it next door. I'll grab it. and we'll see if it's the same one. But carry on talking about it while I go on the
Yeah.
other.
So the film is obviously set in Milan. We have Thomas Millian's character, Giulio. It begins with a kind of a not so much a bodged bank job, but he's kind of looking out for the rest of his crew who are in the middle of robbing a bank. And of course, as he's standing there with his car parked, a policeman turns up and he just guns the guy down. And of course, he's kind of messes up the robbery. So the rest of the gang with him, they take him out to the middle of nowhere. You think they're going to kill him, but they just kick the shit out of him and they abandon him. So they've sort of dissociated themselves from him. He goes back to his girlfriend's, a little bit pissed up, and he asks her for money. And then he meets her from work, and he finds out that her boss's daughter, who is an heiress to this huge fortune, he kind of comes up with this plot of kidnapping her. So he finds these two other likely lads, Vittorio and Carmine, and they plot to kidnap her, hold her hostage for a billion lira. And of course he goes on a bit of a killing spree. So it literally everybody that he comes into contact with, he kills, and he's completely indiscriminate. He doesn't care who he kills. As he said in the trailer, he killed 3 women, 2 men, and a little girl. So yeah, that's pretty horrific.
It's a heartwarming film for all the
It's a
family.
hard one for all the family. But the scene where he kills these 3 women, it's bizarre. He kind of has this weird sort of version of Russian roulette. So the women are manacled to this chandelier hanging from the ceiling, completely naked, and it's kind of a Russian roulette game that he plays with them. So he spins them round and sees which one he's going to kill, and there's a little bit of grape in there, let's just say. So there's some grape.
That's pretty normal in Umberto. What's his name?
Yeah, Umberto Lenzi. Yeah. But there's also let's just say there's a little bit of grape of a man's mouth as well.
Oh dear.
And
fun for all the family in this one.
Yeah. But it's fun. It's a fun movie. One of the fun facts about this movie is that Thomas Millian, who's one of my favorite actors, one of my absolute favorite actors. I didn't know that he was actually considered for Tony Montana in Scarface. His name was actually on the list. It wasn't just straight to Al Pacino.
Yeah. Well, apparently Thomas Millian actually consumed drugs and alcohol before shooting the scenes to get into
he did
mindset. Yeah.
Yes, he did. Yeah. And he was drinking vodka every day.
Here you go. This is the Tough Ones. That's the original Italian title. And then this is that's the kind of later poster. Is the thing. It comes with a really good booklet. I don't know. Did you get this booklet in your one?
I don't know. I haven't unsealed it yet.
So it's got like all the different. There's loads of production notes, but there's all like different posters from around the world in the booklet and stills and stuff. Thomas Millian was also in this.
Yeah.
You can see like the different titles and things.
Is it Maurizio Merli as well who's in this? Is it Maurizio Merli or Fabio Testi?
Maurizio Merli. Arthur Kennedy is the token B-movie American actor to give it a bit of
Actually, it's funny with Maurizio Merli when they were trying to sell films to the American market, they changed his name on the posters. So his name, Maurizio Merli's name change on the posters was Teddy Savalas. Teddy Savalas.
So people think he's like the brother of Telly Savalas, or they
yeah.
just think Telly Savalas is in it.
Yeah, but he's although he looks absolutely nothing like Telly Savalas. But there's an interesting story about this movie about Almost Human when they were shooting in Milan, particularly the car chases. So there's a lot of police car chases and everything. So they're in the middle of this car chase. They're shooting this car chase, and of course the police, because they were shooting it guerrilla style, the police suddenly give chase. So you all of a sudden another police car appears, and a convoy of police cars are appearing, within the shots that they were trying to capture. So they had to stop. So they had to stop filming and explain to them that they were making a movie. And of course, they got into trouble because they were doing it without permits. But they did actually have the actual police in pursuit whilst they were filming.
Yeah, I bet a bit of money exchanged hands there.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure it may well have done.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting film. I mean, it is a violent film. It's not for everybody. I think it's a fun film.
I love the way you call it a fun film. I'm not sure that's the vibe I would use for Italian.
What I think is, I mean, I really enjoyed this movie. I really enjoyed myself watching this movie, and I think the reason I find these films fun is because they're fake violence. But what this does in particular is it does actually show you that violence is not comic book. It's not, it's not, someone gets hit and they get up again, and they have this long choreographed, protracted, convoluted fight. When people die, they die horribly, and the guy's a psychopath. He's probably one of the most psychotic characters, I think, in any Poliziotteschi movie that I've ever seen. Yeah. There is another one called Rabid Dogs, which is
Drew Gordon mentioned that one.
Yeah, that's a weird one. Rabid Dogs is kind of, there was I suppose, life imitating art, because it concerns 3 kidnappers during the time of the Gli anni di piombo, the years of lead.
With the political kidnappings and killings.
Yeah,
and
and the weird thing is that what happens in Rabid Dogs is echoed in the kidnap of Aldo Moro in 1978 by the Red Brigade, or the Brigato Rosso. But they are interesting because, I mean, they're more or less a historical document of Italy's years of lead, because they're very reflective of the political situation at the time. And this is one of the reasons that I love the Italian movies so much. The spaghetti westerns, there is a slightly kind of political and historical edge to them, as with Giallo and the Poliziotteschi. But this is an absolute gem. And if you haven't seen it, if anybody watching hasn't seen this, it's an absolute belter of a film. It's a cracking film.
What'd you give it out of 10?
9. Easy.
Right.
It's fucking brilliant. Brilliant.
Stupenzo, what you got for us this week?
Couple things. One I'll talk about real quick. As you guys know, I'm watching a bunch of vampire movies because we're doing a big vampire tier stream on Nadia's channel this Saturday, and I'm going extra and watching all these movies that aren't on the list. There's the Fright Night movie that's on the list, but I also watched Part 2. I also watched the remake, which is not as good as the 80s ones. Part 2 is pretty darn good. 1's great. There's also a sequel to the remake that sucks. It's terrible. Don't recommend that one. But what I do recommend that I'd never seen before, there's a 4-hour making of Fright Night movie called You're So Cool, Brewster.
Brewster, you're so cool.
If you're a fan of Fright Night 1 and 2 from the 80s, definitely check it out. It is in depth, kind of like the RoboCop documentary, RoboDoc. So that was really good. I recommend that one. I'd give it a good 8 out of 10, just because I'm a movie nerd. But also something else I watched that was recent that was good was I just watched The Damned last night. That was actually pretty freaky. A crazy winter fishing town in Iceland or somewhere in the Arctic Circle, getting haunted by some kind of creepy ghost, or maybe it's just cabin fever. I don't know. Anyway, it was really good, really freaky, pretty effective movie, and really good movie for like winter time. You know, and next time you're stuck in a snowstorm and snowed in, watch The Damned. Not to be confused.
Talking about the 2024 one.
Yes, the one from recently. Maybe 2025. Maybe it's 2025.
No, it came out in 2024.
I'm not talking about the Civil War one that came out around.
No. Okay. You're talking about this one. You're talking about this one.
Yes, it was good.
Yeah,
I've
heard good things about
it. Was good. It was creepy.
This is actually an Icelandic movie, is it?
I don't know. I don't remember where it takes place. Some Norwegian fishing town.
Scandinavian.
There you go. They speak in English, so it wasn't like
English.
Yeah, it's not like a foreign movie, but it had foreign film vibes. It had indie horror vibes. It's pretty slow, but there's definitely some good creep factor stuff going on in this one. Another one I watched that I loved. Mother wanted to check it out, and I'd never seen it. 1986 Clint Eastwood movie called Heartbreak Ridge. This movie rocks.
Oh my god! Have you even seen that?
I've never seen it, and dude, it is Clint Eastwood's best character, and it is it is some of the best dialogue I've heard in a movie, especially like the first 2/3 of it is like, oh man, he's such a hard ass. It is great,
mate. We could do a chew the fat on that. I loved Heartbreak Ridge.
Dude,
I saw that on Boxing Day in I think it was '86. Great film.
Watching you got Everett McGill as the asshole sort of rival in guy as well. So
and Mario Van Peebles all like super cut, super young, being like a weird
slick as well, isn't he? Like, hey, I'm Jav, man. I'm Jav.
Yeah, take your shirts off. But we got the same on Gunny, the same as me.
Yeah, he's the loose cannon, you know. And watching Clint Eastwood totally reminded me of my dad. You know, throughout the whole movie, it's hilarious.
Everett McGill's really good in that, as well as the the antagonist, the guy he keeps butting heads with, who's also
he's such a killjoy, isn't he, Everett McGill? Yeah. He's such a stick in the mud. You can't help but love him.
Yeah, everyone. He's surrounded by yellow bellies, a bunch of green people. Nobody's been in combat. He's like the only guy at the academy that's seen, active duty. Besides that other old guy that he drinks beers with.
Yeah, no, it's a really good film, and the combat scenes in it are pretty well shot.
Yeah, basically Clint Eastwood is a hard ass, in and out of holding cells, jail guy, career military guy, and he's been relocated to a training center, military Marines, right? Training the Marine Corps. Got a bunch of grunts, but like the idea is like we've been at peacetime for like 10 years, nobody's really seen combat in a while. It's kind of a lot about like, the military being in this pacifist mode, not pacifist, but just, everyone's inexperienced, and it's about training these men to be Marines. Even though a lot of these people don't think they're going to war, and then surprise, they have to go to some conflict in Geneva.
No, Grenada.
Grenada. That's what I meant. One letter off. I was one letter off.
Yeah.
But yeah, Cuba. Yeah, Cuba area, and they, it's a good movie. Real fun, and like the best thing about it was the dialogue. The dialogue, like people don't talk like this in real life, but I don't care. I wish they did. It was amazing.
I think it's a really, really, really good film. It's got so many great moments where, like, because they're the recon platoon, and he's going to train them up to be proper soldiers, whether they like it or not, and they're just used to being able to be lazy and like, hanging about, like getting a tan and shit.
Yeah, drinking beer.
Yeah, and then he's got on their training, he like gets an AK-47 out, fires live rounds above their heads, and he's like, this is the AK-47, the preferred weapon of your enemy. It's got a very distinctive sound. It's just so good. I really like it. Great.
First thing he says to the guy in the jail, he's like, be advised, I'm mean, nasty, and tired. I eat concertina, wire, and piss napalm, and I could put a round in a flea's ass at 200 meters. So why don't you go hump somebody else's leg, mutt face, before I push yours in? It's just like constant lines like that throughout the whole movie. It's hilarious. Just like even little things like keep dreaming shitball, like just like whatever, dude. He just says the best stuff. Every line he says is amazing. It's so good.
Good, man. What do you expect?
It's kind of like when you first try like watching Tropic Thunder with subtitles, you realize like every line of dialogue Robert Downey Jr. says is hilarious. It's the same thing with this one. Like watching it with subtitles and just, oh man. Yeah. Just because we're holding hands doesn't mean we'll be taking warm showers together until the wee hours of the morning.
Yeah. So good. Hey, do you know what? You've made me want to. Is this film on Amazon or anything right now? I've got the DVD somewhere, I think.
Where did I watch it? I think it's on Tubi or Peacock or somewhere. Tubi.
Right.
I think it is on Tubi. Or Pluto, one of the two. I don't know. There's so many stupid streaming platforms. Hey, guys, it's out there. Every movie we recommend is out there on the internet somewhere. All right? I promise.
Especially the high seas.
Except for the theatrical cut of Sin City. You're going to have a hard time finding that one.
You can't get that now?
No, it's on Tubi or one of them. I don't know.
Yeah. Just if you're gonna watch Sin City, just get the DVD. The original DVD, not the Blu-ray with the uncut version. The DVD where the stories are kind of go back and forth like it was supposed to be.
Yeah, that's why have they changed it now?
Yeah,
I really hate that they put all the stories in order. It really messes with the flow.
Oh, really? Oh, that's crap. No, I liked the way it jumped about in the original.
Yeah. Usually I like my stories to be a bit more straightforward, but with Sin City it worked. With Pulp Fiction, it worked.
Oh, I watched one other thing, and it was terrible. It was called Section 31, and I'm sure you guys watched it or heard about it.
I've been hearing about it.
It's so bad. It's awful. And yeah, Red Letter Media just did a huge 44-minute video about that. Just watch that instead of me talking about it. Everyone's talking about it. It was shit.
Is it one of their in-studio discussions, or have they done an actual proper old school video like the?
No. They just did a Mike and Richard just do a studio discussion about it. But yeah, they cover everything everyone else should be talking about. That's one thing I don't like doing is just treading the same water on YouTube over and over again. Everyone's talking about Section 31. It sucked.
I haven't watched it, but I do want to say something about it, and that's this: that if you had followed Star Trek lore, including the mentions of, I think Section 31 first got mentioned in Deep Space Nine, if I remember rightly. I might be wrong about that, but anyway, got mentioned in various shows. And if you followed all the lore up to, let's say, the end of Next Gen and DS9 and whatnot, the information that we had about Section 31 was it was basically a Black Ops dirty tricks department that had its own agenda, its own political agenda that didn't quite align with these. This was the department that was prepared to break the Prime Directive. It was a little bit right wing politically, and the people in Section 31 were willing to murder people and shit like this. And it was like a covert. People knew it existed, but you didn't know anything about it. Where was it really? It was kind of a myth. That was the thing about it. From what I've seen and from the reviews I've seen, and obviously I saw Drinkers, it appears now that it's run by a bunch of spastics who are sort of innate and incompetent children who couldn't organise a piss up in a brewery, let alone run a dirty tricks department within the Federation. So it's kind of, it's supposed to be like the CIA for the Federation. That's a good description, Wormy. Thank you. William Sadler represented Section 31 in DS9, and he was really kind of moody and dark, and had this really it was just him, but you felt like there was an army behind him that you couldn't see of people working behind the scenes that could do bad harm to you if you got onto the wrong side of them. And before this film came out, I did a big Star Trek space battle with my space battle game, big tabletop game, and it was a Section 31 plot, and it was to do with them stealing technology from the future to upgrade their weapons, which of course completely illegal against the Prime Directive, all of that. so that the Section 31 ships would outclass anything else, including in the Federation. And they'd found this unstable wormhole, and that's how they were bringing back the technology from ships they were stealing and stuff. So the Federation found out about it, had to blow up the wormhole, had to stop them, and they had this new ship from the future that everybody had to gang up on and blow up. So, you know, I kind of kept it within what I'd heard that they were up to. I mean, from what I've heard of this, it just sounds, I don't know, it just sounds like people just made it up as they went along, or they certainly didn't look at the other stuff that had been developed. So everybody clearly went on a cruise. That's nice. Do we have any actual more stills of the movie here? No, we don't. So my understanding is it's a feature film. Is that correct?
Yeah, which is why I was willing to give it a shot. I mean, I got to say it does have that going for it compared to the other crap that's modern Trek. It's not a show. But yeah, you know, that's what's funny is like, I don't know any of the lore from the new stuff. So I was like totally in the blind, and even watching it, like not thinking of it as a Star Trek movie, it's still really bad and cheesy and try hard. But if you do know all the Star Trek lore, it's like, it's an abomination, you know, it's horrendous. It's awful. It doesn't feel like Star Trek. We were talking about how Skeleton Crew, like it's okay, but there's the pirate stuff at the second episode. Like that it kind of feels like Star Wars. Whereas this does not feel like Star Trek, like at all, like period. And you know, I don't know if it means like it's relates more to modern Trek. Like I said, I don't really watch the Kurtzman Trek, but everyone hates it. All the Trek fans don't like it, just like Doctor Who, and they don't care. They don't care that we don't like it. It makes them double down, and the fact that you know, like Michelle Yeoh, she's great. I'm a big fan, but you know, I think she's getting overused and overpaid. Getting paid $15 million for this is insane. But I mean, she won an Oscar, so it makes sense. But at the same time, it's just you know, she was in Wicked. She, you know, Everything Everywhere All at Once was fine. I thought that movie was a little overhyped. But yeah, I don't know. It's not good. The movie's bad. From the first, like I tried to quit like every 30 minutes. I was like, I can't do this, but I toughed it out.
You toughed it out, so we didn't have to. Great to see you, Gary Bando Sandwich. Always love to have you in the chat. We've got Leroy in here as well. I haven't seen Leroy around in the chat for a while. Yes, I have seen Ironclad. It's a good film. The first Ironclad, I think, is a good movie. The sequel, not so much. So Leroy saw Gladiator 2 finally. It wasn't half bad. You know what? It wasn't half good either. Anyway, yeah, Section 31. Well, I take it that the description I gave to you of Section 31 is not what we get. Is that correct?
No, I mean, it's a convoluted mess, and I kind of don't even remember half of it. It's just a bunch of weird double crossings and mirror universe and random happenings and a lot of zoom cuts and dude, like it's one of those things where like there's a cut every 2 seconds.
Yeah, they're overplaying this mirror universe twist, which was a good idea in I thought that was one of the great twists that they did do in Discovery. You know, this captain has come from the mirror universe all along. I thought that was kind of cool, but you know, that and kind of these Kelvin timeline, this timeline, all of that, it's all becoming a bit Marvel multi-universe.
Yeah, it was definitely like the Red Letter Media guys, you know, everybody's saying it's trying to be Guardians of the Galaxy, trying to be Suicide Squad, trying to be the Borderlands movie, which is weird. That was terrible too. It's just not Star Trek, whatever the hell this is.
Yeah, Star Trek's supposed to be Hornblower in space. That's the whole point of it.
Yeah, I mean, none of the new Trek has the reason why we liked old Trek is because it's like a soap opera almost. You know, there's a lot of morality conundrums and interpersonal drama. It's not. There'd be several episodes that go by where a phaser isn't fired, or a blaster isn't shot. You know, like nobody's sending torpedoes.
They're like commentaries on things that were happening to us.
Yeah.
You know, discovering.
There were so many episodes that are just like the relationship between two characters or 3 or 4 characters, like what's going on, like interpersonal drama. You know, human interactions and stuff. But it just happens to take place on a spaceship. You know.
But it happened in the context of them still doing their jobs. They weren't like a load of bickering.
They would also they would explore really cool sci-fi stuff, but also like have it like, you know, a metaphor for current Earth. Like my favorite episodes is A Measure of a Man, where they have to prove Data is sentient, and you know, in a courtroom type setting, and they have to prove that Data has a right to exist. You know, he can't be dissected, so they can make more of him. Like, it's a great episode. There's no fighting, there's no fist fights or blasters or chases or explosions. It's just a good episode. And there's so many episodes where, like, when there is finally a big space battle, it's like, oh my God, it's been a while. Like, this is actually a big deal. You know, so they're actually firing on the ship. It's been a while.
What would you give this out of 10?
Oh my God, like 0 out of 10. This was unwatchable. Like, I gotta say, I'm not trying to be. I'm not.
I don't think we've scored anything 0.
Dude, I love terrible movies, and I gotta say, like, I'm not trying to jump on the bandwagon. I don't give a crap what other YouTubers say. I like Joker too. I liked a lot of these movies. A lot of these people that are in the critic sphere are morons. They don't understand. They only talk about like children's movies. Disney, these grown men talking about Disney princesses every week. It's disgusting. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of talking about comic book movies all the time. I recommend real movies like Flow and, Memoir of a Snail. And these assholes don't even watch them. They don't care. They're not movie fans. I'm a huge movie fan. This movie sucked my ass. It was terrible. I can't even fathom like someone watching this and enjoying this. If you watch this and enjoy this, no offense, but I think you're a moron. Or you weren't paying attention. You were on your phone most of the time, and you just like loud noises and big bright colors.
Once again, it's the Benzo does not pull.
I was on my phone. Sorry about that.
Gary gives it -31. So,
I'm not trying to jump on any bandwagons because it's cool.
No, I hear you.
Yeah. It's that bad.
It's such a shame as well because
let's not give it any more time. What would you score? What would everybody, by the way, score? Heartbreak Ridge out of 10.
I'd give it like a 9, man. It was really good. I mean, it does kind of taper off at the bottom half, but the first 2/3 of it really I
think the Grenada invasion sequence is really well done.
It is well done, but it's not. I wish the whole movie was just snappy. I was hoping the whole movie would be kind of like Dead Poet Society, but like, you know, in military camp setting, you know. But they obviously have to go do
my gunny.
Yeah, do the military stuff.
Gunny.
People see Marion Van Peebles' character kind of evolve a little bit.
There's great character arcs and there's great payoffs and stuff, but like just for the dialogue alone, a 9. Like, it's so good.
I give it a 9 out of 10. Leroy's talking about apparently various Marines didn't like it. What I heard was the branch of the Marines, as in the higher ups, didn't like the film. I heard that the Gruns loved the film. One of the main criticisms was at the time was the scene where they call in the air support by using that phone. Remember that sequence?
Call collect. They have to call collect.
They do a call collect, and and that was criticized as making the army look bad. But apparently,
a lot of it does because
that actually happened. Apparently, that actually happened.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hard truth because it's one of the only movies I've seen where you're talking about, you know, during times of peace, these warriors start getting lazy, and that's kind of what's going on at the time in the mid 80s, mid to late 80s. We haven't really been in a conflict for a while, and the last one we really did was Vietnam. We got our asses kicked, so it was like a demoralized military going on, and everyone's just there for like a free ride kind of thing, like get some free college, just do some push-ups. It's kind of like in Starship Troopers, where like this idea of like, oh, we're just going to go into service because, it's what we do. But when the actual war is declared, everyone's kind of like, oh, this wasn't part of the plan. That Futurama episode also had a similar one.
Beyond Real Talk, thanking us for recommending On Call last time. That was me that brought that up. It is a good show. It's currently available on Amazon. So a lot of love for Heartbreak Ridge in the chat as well. If people have seen it and you want to rate it out of 10, please do so. Inside Man, I know you had one other film to recommend us tonight. What was that?
Yeah, it's a blaxploitation
Tiny bit of time left.
Okay, blaxploitation movie from 1974. Cleopatra Jones. with the staggeringly stunning Tamara. Oh, is it Tamara Dobson? Is it no?
Tamara Dobson.
Tamara Dobson. Do you know she was 6'2" out of high heels?
Is she still around? Is she still around, or did we lose her recently? Am I thinking?
I don't know, but she looks amazing in this movie. I mean, she really does kick quite a bit of arse, as we say.
I think it was the first blaxploitation movie I ever saw, and if
really?
I think I'm right in thinking that this was one of the films that Channel 4 showed quite early on, and I think they sort of did a season of, you know, kind of American B movies, and this was my recollection is that this was one of them. I don't know if that rings bells with
kind
you.
of, yeah, kind of. I mean, I did see this on TV first, so yeah, that rings true with me.
She passed away in 2006 at the age of 59, sadly. I remember her in Chained Heat.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Can't talk about Tamara Dobson without talking about Chained Heat, which they proper did loads of video stands for to try and get many a young man to rent that out.
Yeah, I've got that. I've got that somewhere. But yeah, I mean, she looks great in this, and basically, it's kind of it was one of those blaxploitation movies that kind of was the antithesis of the the usual sort of stereotypes that we saw in a lot of blaxploitation movies at the time. You know, there was no drug taking. This is very much an anti-drugs movie. I mean, it begins with the destruction of a poppy field or poppy fields in Turkey. So she plays a secret agent. She's kind of a Bondy kind of girl. You know, she's got all these different sections of her car where she's got easy access to her guns, and she's got a specially kitted out car. But do you know what it reminds me of? I mean, it's not like any other blaxploitation movie I think that I've ever seen. It kind of reminds me of the James Coburn Flint movies.
Yeah,
kind of
I can see that.
Slightly sort of tongue in cheek, you know, a bit groovy. But she's amazing in it. She is absolutely amazing in this movie, and she looks fantastic.
You could do a pretty good sort of making of mini series of this, couldn't you? That would be quite a good drama. The making of Cleopatra Jones.
And it's, you know, it's a very colourful kind of movie. It's slightly comic book.
I didn't know Peter Sellers was in it. Look, there he could almost be him.
Yeah, I mean, I think Antonio Fargas is Antonio Fargas in this. I think
he is.
Antonio Fargas is in this. Bernie Casey's in this. Who else?
Brenda
Shelley
Sykes.
Winters. Yeah, Shelley Winters is in it. Yeah, she plays Marmee, who's the kind of sort of big sort of drug gang boss.
Bill McKinney, he did quite a few B movie roles, didn't he?
Yeah.
Well,
but this was the movie that was.
There's Bernie Casey. Look how young he is there.
Yeah, I know. But this was the movie that was. Coffee was being shot at the same time, and when they found out that there was going to be another sort of black heroine movie, and that's heroine as in female hero, not as in drugs. But when they found out that this was being made at the same time, Coffee sped up their production like fourfold to get their movie out first.
Right.
And of course, they thought they were going to be in competition with Cleopatra Jones, but of course, they're absolutely nothing like each other. You know, completely different movies, completely different types and styles of movie. But it's a fun film. You know, it's a fun little film. It's inoffensive. It's, you know, this is actually kind of a family blaxploitation movie.
They did a sequel. There was Cleopatra Jones and the Casino of Gold.
That's right. Terrible film.
I didn't know
film.
that. Is that with her as well?
Yeah. Just terrible. The poster is amazing, but it's a terrible film. I haven't seen that in years. Just remember hating it and thinking, no, why did they do this?
Well, to make money,
of course. But this is actually a very good kind of entry point into blaxploitation if you want to ease yourself in. Something like this, and then obviously you can't go wrong with one of the Pam Grier movies, either Foxy Brown or Coffee. Superfly is a good one. Cotton Comes to Harlem, fantastic movie. Probably the first ever blaxploitation movie, I would say. Cotton Comes to Harlem, or Sweet Sweetback's Badass Song. Really good entry points into blaxploitation movies if anyone wants to get into them. They're all very, very good films.
I need to watch this again, actually, because I remember really liking it when I first saw it. And Tamara Dobson may have secretly been responsible for my preference in ladies.
But she's so... And do you know, she actually designed all of her costumes for this movie as well.
Wow.
Designed all of her own wardrobe for this movie. And they actually had to make the car... they had to adjust the roof on the car. They kind of customized the roof on the car so she could fit in.
Yeah, because she's so tall.
She's so tall. Yeah.
And they gave her those big heeled shoes.
Yeah, I know.
In the film as well. So
yeah. But she looks great. She really does look great in this movie.
She never married or had any kids, man. If only a time machine existed.
Yeah.
So, anyway. Yeah, okay. From my recollection, I'd give it about an 8 out of 10.
It's a good 8. Yeah, it's a good 8, and it's fun. It's a fun film, and like I say, she's just gorgeous.
Oh God, there we go again with my coughing. Okay, all right. So Cleopatra Jones. Check out the first film. Probably don't bother with the second one. Did we lose Northern again? Oh, there we are. He's back.
Yeah, signal just cut me out.
What happened? You just lost your signal. North of the wall, the signal's not good, you know.
Yeah, it's just one of those. Just one of those nights. I guess the weather's been acting up a little bit recently as well.
Yeah, Dolomite is a great film. I really did like that. Thought it was really
with Eddie Murphy. What was it?
Yeah.
Oh no, are you talking about the
Rudy Ray Moore?
Yeah,
Rudy Ray Moore.
That's basically about the making a blaxploitation movie, and it's really, really well done.
You're talking. Oh, right. Okay, sorry. I thought you were talking about the Dolomite films with Rudy Ray Moore.
No, I think it's about them making the Dolomite films. So it's a modern movie about them making those films.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, because the Dolomite films was a blaxploitation film, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's essentially what it is, or leans into. I've got one more thing to mention before we begin to wrap up. I'll mention it briefly because I haven't seen the whole thing yet. This is also on Netflix, and these shows are very popular at the minute. There's a lot of adaptations of well-known or sort of high-selling crime thrillers, and a lot of them are a lot of the ones that have been adapted by Netflix. I think they've got first refusal. Are the Harlan Coben books, and his books are predominantly all set in Scandinavian society. They're kind of there's usually a frazzled cop, frazzled detective, male or female, chasing after a murderer, and there's usually various other subplots. This one, Missing You, stars Rosalind Elazar in the lead, who's actually a pretty good actress. I first saw her in Line of Duty, playing a villain in one of the seasons of Line of Duty, and I thought when I saw her in that, I thought, I can tell this actress is going to do well, and I think she's got a pretty good presence on screen. Ashley Walters I bumped into a few times. He's got more of a supporting role, so it predominantly revolves around this guy going missing, and people are sort of looking into what's happened to him, and he's being held hostage on a farm. These are not spoilers because all this information is in the first sort of 20 minutes or so, by this particularly weird group of individuals. You've got another subplot where in her past, this is the lead detective, she was going to marry this guy, and then he suddenly disappeared. He just completely vanished off the face of the earth, and she never knew what happened to him. And then she joined a dating app, and his picture is on it on one of the profiles. And then she's contacted by this young man who wants her to look into the disappearance of his mother. And his mother went on holiday with the guy with that profile, who may or may not be her ex-boyfriend. So you've got a number of plots running sort of concurrently. It is your kind of Sunday afternoon, you know, the sort of stuff that used to be on ITV at 9 o'clock kind of thing. But strong cast. And I put off watching it because some of the Harlan Coben stuff, I've watched it and it all feels very samey in terms of the production, the way it's shot, the style. This one has got a bit more of an edge to it, and it just seems to have a stronger cast. The direction's a bit better. I'm enjoying it more than the other ones I've peered in on. I've only seen the first 2 episodes. I have to say I'm not impressed by the trans actor who's on the left in this shot. I've seen them in 2 things now, and I don't know why they've been cast, because their acting is very average. I mean, when you've got a cast that's so good, of real seasoned veterans, and I know young cast members have to be played by young actors, sure, but if you're going to put someone in, they've got to be on par with the other cast in the scenes with them, and this person stands out as just being not as good by a long shot.
I think if we're honest, I think we do know why they were cast.
Well, I'm not going to comment, but I just don't think they're very good. However, that's not to detract from the show. I think the show's worth watching. Has anyone else seen it?
No, is it kind of a Scandi kind of thing then?
Scandi, but adapted for an English setting.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I'd be interested in checking this out. Yeah.
I think there's 6 episodes. I'm sort of halfway into episode 2.
Right. Okay.
I have a feeling after we finish up tonight that I'll probably be watching this into the wee hours, like 4 o'clock in the morning, doing a Stupenzo. But yeah, so I can't give it a rating yet. I'll rate it next week when I've seen the whole thing. All right, so we'll wrap it up there. Stupenzo, what you got coming up?
I might go live right after this. I don't know. And then also tomorrow, got a premiere of a We Watch. I showed my cousin and Dudicus for the first time a movie directed by Peter Jackson called Meet the Feebles.
Oh yeah,
that's so good.
I know. There are people who love Meet the Feebles, and people who haven't seen it, and people who aren't degenerates. That's but it's a great movie. We got a full length commentary for that tomorrow, 2:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. That'll be fun. So check that out.
Have you already recorded that?
Yeah, and
man, I would have loved to have done that with you.
Well, it's better to watch that movie with people who haven't seen it, because they were like, my cousin and Dudicus were like, "What is this?" So you're like, the Lord of the Rings guy made this? You're like, yep.
Totally. They like the bit where the fly gets its wings ripped off and it's flushed down the toilet.
Oh my god, yeah, it's just so much going on in that one. I also might show up on Tommy's Chinwag this Wednesday or next Wednesday. I'm not sure. That'll be around the same time. Other than that, just gonna be hanging out, streaming, I might be on Saturday. I'm gonna be on, like I said, Nadia's vampire movie tier stream. We're gonna put like 30 or so vampire movies in a big tier list Saturday early evening. So That'll be fun. Watching a bunch of vampire movies for that one.
Well, I'm going to a day rave on Saturday, but because I'm still not 100%, I will be more socializing than dancing. So, yeah, just to make sure I don't burn myself out. But very good. That all sounds good. Northern, you got anything coming up?
I think I might be reviewing The Wolfman, but on Friday I will
Doesn't sound like it's worth reviewing.
Well, I've got to get something out, but Friday I will also be doing Bastard's breakdowns of Guy Ritchie's Snatch, and I'm guessing Inside Man and Hugh Lance will be joining me along with
I'll try and get on that if I can. Actually, I'll try and hit Jason up for some stories. I know a couple of stories already, but I'll try and hit him up for some more stories about the shoot for that.
Be very appreciative. It would be really appreciated if that would be contributed to the stream, because that would make the stream worth listening to as well.
Yeah.
And I'll try and get something to do with you as well, Stupenzo. I'm trying to think now. I'll let you decide this one.
If you do a special stream on superhero women fighting in swimming pools, I believe Stupenzo's an expert on that topic.
Oh yeah, the pool parties, man.
There's much to go on. We can probably just watch it and just say.
Probably watch. What was it? What was the other Satoshi Kon movie? Millennium Actress. But there's other good ones. I mean, there's so many good ones. I'm sure I could think of something. Fun stuff, older stuff. Good old 80s movies. What about? Yeah, I guess I've been watching all these vampire movies, and Fright Night's great. The Lost Boys. Oh my God, the Lost Boys sequels. Those are terrible. There's 2 of them.
Yeah, I've heard those are bad. Inside Man and I are gonna do a chew the fat on what were the 2 movies we said we were gonna do.
We were going to do.
This is when we were doing the Sweeney. We came up with this cool idea.
It was. Hold on.
Two similar films.
Yeah. It was Bravo 20 and
Bravo 20 and the one that got away.
Yeah.
The 2 films about the SAS incursion, and we're also going to talk about. And this was in the first Iraq War, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We're also going to talk about the documentary that was made that
disputed
some of the things that the SAS said happened, and there's also disagreement among the patrol members themselves over what happened. So we'll be getting into that. I don't know, we haven't scheduled it yet, but sometime in the not too distant future. Okay, listen, we've had great participation from the chat. Nice to see the numbers growing on the live viewings, which is good. So I'd like to thank everyone for taking part. Apologies for my coughing and spluttering, but unfortunately I am still coming out the far end of a really bad case of pneumonia. So, fun times for Lancey. Anyway, we'll be back on Sunday with the next 2 episodes of The Shield at 8 o'clock. It's possible I might do a late night with Lancey stream after open bar on Thursday. I might do something on a couple of topics there. Don't forget, if I'm ever doing a late night with Lancey stream and you happen to spot it and you're a YouTuber, any YouTubers welcome to come onto one of those. So if you've got a channel, just pop in the chat and say you'd like to pop on and I'll bring you on. So that's the late night with Lancey stream. That's on a Thursday night, but you've got to have a channel. So you've got to have a channel on YouTube. All right. Okay, that's it from us. Thanks to my amazing panelists, Stupenzo, Northern English Bastard, and the Inside Man. We will see you all again soon.
Films, TV shows,